Hey, this is Charles, the Director of Engineering at Premier Marine, and in today's video we're going to go over a fuel tank setup, making sure that the fuel sending unit is communicating with the SIMRAD properly, and that everything is good to go for the fuel tank. You see we're at the main SIMRAD screen right now. We'll go to the Settings tab in the upper left, click on that. We'll go to Fuel, click there. We'll hit Vessel Setup. This is entering the information specific to the boat that you're on about the fuel tank. So this boat has one engine. You could have twins, you could have triples. Since this has one, we're just going to leave it at 1. Number of fuel tank, all Premier's boats have one fuel tank, so we'll leave that at 1. Vessel fuel capacity, this is going to depend on whether you upgraded your fuel tank or whether it comes with the standard fuel tank, so that'll depend on the boat. But this boat's a 47-gallon tank, so we'll enter 47 gallons. You want to make sure that you're right next to the decimal point so that it doesn't say 4,700 gallons, it says 47.0 gallons. So we double check everything here, click Save. That portion of the fuel is set up. Now we're going to go a little further in depth in setting up the actual fuel sending unit. We'll scroll down Network, click there. We'll go to Device List. And then we're going to click Fluid Level Sensor. So we'll click in that. We'll see we're on the fluid level sensor. Everything looks good here. We'll click Configure. Give it a second because everything will be grayed out right at first, and then everything will be an editable field. We see the tank is in the center. We want it to be in the center. We want to make sure it doesn't say unknown. The fluid type is fuel, so make sure that it's set on fuel. Otherwise, if it's not, it won't know to display it on the fuel gauge. So tank size, once again, we want to be at 47 gallons, so we'll update this to say 47.0. We'll click OK. It asks if we want to change. We do. Everything's configured here, so we'll close that out. That's set up. The next thing that we'll do is actually calibrate the sending unit itself. So we'll click Calibrate. This is something that you're going to have to do before and after that you fuel the tank. So when you first get the boat, the tank's completely empty. So you're going to calibrate it for the empty position. Once you put fuel and fill the tank completely at a gas station, you'll calibrate a second time for the full position. So this is a 2-point fuel calibration. Right now we're at empty. We're on 2, that's what we want. We're completely empty, that's what we want. We'll click Calibrate, it says point set, click OK. You'll want to remember to do this again a second time when you have a full tank of gas. So you'll click there, you'll go to full, you'll leave it at 2 points, but you'll click full, and then you'll hit calibrate one more time. And that will make sure that the sending unit knows when the tank is completely full, and that the SIMRAD will read the gauge completely full. Some of it you can do right in your shop, some of it's going to have to be done on the water once you have a full tank of gas or sitting on the trailer. So that portion's set up. We'll go back. Everything looks good here. We'll back again. What we'll do now is go to the main screen, and then we'll go to Instruments. So that'll boot up. So depending on your engine manufacturer, it will actually go to a specific engine gauge set up from the main screen. And we'll go do further videos that go further in depth on engine manufacturer gauge setup. Right now we're just going to use the general instruments to show the more basic stuff, but we will go in depth further on engine manufacturers later. So we see the fuel gauge is lit up. It's not grayed out like everything else is. That means the fuel gauge was set up properly. So if it wasn't set up properly, it'd be grayed out like the rest of those gauges are. We're going to check one thing real quick. If we press in and hold in the fuel gauge area, you'll see it pops up this Choose Data screen. So you can see we're in fuel tank and it says fuel level. That's correct. That's what you want it to show. What we can actually do too is change it from fuel level to fuel remaining, which will then show gallons. Before it was showing it as a percent, now it's going to give you an actual gallon readout. So it's going from 50 to 0. We can hold it again. You actually have to hold a little bit further in the middle. So you can press it, it pops back up. We can change it fuel level. You could see that's 0 to 100%. Everything looks good here. If you open this up and it doesn't say fuel tank, if you scroll down and it's shown in the vessel area, that means that it's actually not going to work properly. We don't want it coming from the vessel. We want it coming from the fuel sender. So we want to make sure that we're in the fuel tank area. So make sure it's coming from fuel tank. That's where you want it to be displayed from, not through the vessel system. And then click fuel, we'll be good to go there. Another thing that I like to do is on the sidebar here, which is actually displayed on any pages, whether you're in instruments or navigation. You can actually set these up to whatever you want. time to destination, economy for GPS. None of it, some of the stuff isn't that useful, so I like to change these things. If you press and hold down on it, it'll pop up that choose data source again. Right now it's showing time to destination, but if we scroll up, you can choose any of these things to be displayed. So since we're talking about fuel, we're going to close navigation, we're going to scroll up a little bit, we see fuel tank. Now we can select what we want. We can select fuel remaining, and it's showing us a digital readout of the number of gallons that we have remaining in the fuel tank. So we have 0 because there's nothing in the fuel tank right now. If we want to go up one more screen, and we can press and hold, choose data pops up again, and it's showing us in the engine that it's giving us fuel economy based on GPS. Now depending on your engine manufacturer, it might give you valid information, some won't, but since we're talking about fuel tank, we're going to go back to the fuel tank, and we already have fuel remaining displayed, so we'll go to fuel level. Now it's showing us the percent of fuel that we have, the number of gallons that we have, all displayed digitally. So let's say we had a 50% full tank of gas. Since it's a 47-gallon tank, we're going to have about 23 gallons, and it'll say 50%. So it's just nice to be able to display that digitally and analog, and like I said, this sidebar is actually displayed in all the different screens, whether you're on navigation or instruments or anywhere else. So that kind of goes through setting up the fuel tank, the fuel sending unit. If you have any other questions on fuel tank setup, let us know. Reach out to customer service. We'd be happy to help you out.